Hi everybody, this is Mark Ryan and I'm with my good friend John Overdurf and one of my favorite people in the world, co-developer of Mind Power for Life, which both of us have been using, teaching people, selling to people with phenomenal results for a long period of time. And John and I had a conversation the other night and we said, you know, what could we give back to the world? And I think Mind Power for Life was something that we both thought of that would be awesome to not only give to you to use in your life every day, but to be an introductory technique, let's say, to other things that we have to offer. And the other things that we have to offer are extremely powerful. And I think the belief system of you people out there knowing and experiencing something like Mind Power for Life at first is going to make you much more appreciative of what we have to offer after that. So John, tell us a little bit. Go ahead.
It really is. Really the goal of developing Mind Power for Life was so that somebody who is not necessarily accustomed to doing hypnosis or meditation or any kind of technique where you're really learning to use your mind can achieve in about 5 minutes. And the thing that in the research we found was that there are some automatic switches that literally, if you know what those things are, you can achieve a very deep state of relaxation and you can literally make a connection with the part of your brain that runs all of your automatic functioning.
Now you say switches. Switches like wall switches, switches and what kind of
About as automatic. Yeah. I mean, about as automatic, because the first one is, it's been known for a long time that the fastest way to change your emotional state is actually by shifting your physiology. But the first thing that happens when you change your physiology is when you start to shift your breathing.
Now physiology, you mean how I move, my movement.
How you move and what's going on in your body, your biochemistry, all the things that make up your emotional state or the mood or the attitude that you have to, you know, that you're in at any given time.
So changing something to do with my body, my movement, my breathing, my eyes, whatever, that's physiology.
Exactly.
And that's one of the first step or crossover switches that are...
Yep, if we just take it down to the simplest one, which is then just changing your breathing.
Breathing.
So breathing is really the key. You've probably seen it, like if you go to a restaurant or something like that and you ask somebody to do something and maybe they weren't ready to do it, and what do you see them do? They go like that. Now that's not necessarily a positive example, but it's an example of that person has just changed their emotional state. And what the research shows is this, is that if your breathing is shallow, essentially what it starts to do is it's correlated more with panic, with fight and flight, anxious kinds of states. On the other hand, if you begin to actually make your exhale about twice as long or longer than your inhale, it literally flips a switch in the nervous system that within 30 seconds you can begin to achieve more relaxation than what you had before you started.
Within 30 seconds?
Within 30 seconds.
And this is proven? This is all scientific?
Yes. Yes.
That's incredible. So immediately I start thinking, you know, if somebody that couldn't find their little girl or little boy in the mall or something, they find them and everybody goes, oh, we can breathe a little easier now. And
exactly. And you hear that extended exhale.
Yes.
And literally what's happening there is that we're pushing out, you know, that when we're breathing in, we're attempting to get oxygen, and when we're exhaling, carbon dioxide's going out. When people get in panic situations, they actually get more carbon dioxide in their brain, and the problem with that is you can't think as well. So then your thinking becomes fuzzier, and which causes most people to become even more frantic, as opposed to if you're actually pushing more of the carbon dioxide out, which is what the extended exhale does. You're literally pushing more carbon dioxide out, so you're really bathing your brain in much higher levels of oxygen. So you can think better. Basically, you just establish a better state of being, and you release a whole cascade of chemicals that some people call endorphins that give you that really strong, peaceful sense of well-being.
Amazing. So shifting the breathing, and one of the things that I've known and I've taught people is that if you reverse that process, you can also energize yourself.
Exactly. You got to be careful with it because a little bit goes a long way. But essentially, yeah, if you lengthen your inhale, so it would be something more like that, you'll see this is used in some martial arts forms and different things like that. And what it does is it actually cranks up our fight and flight reflex so that we're really, you know, in more of an excited state or something like that. So, I mean, if you want to, you know, stop drinking coffee, or if you want to do something like delay your first cup of coffee because it's going to take you a while to get to it, do a couple fire breaths. They're called fire breaths. And you're actually going to notice that you get a huge surge up to your head.
Yeah, I've noticed that sometimes if I haven't gotten enough sleep at night, or been really tired, or been working all day and want to go out, I spend a little bit of time, and not very much, doing that, and I energize myself.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
Mind Power for Life is something that's automatic in me now on that end of it, and yet consciously, if I want to energize, that's what I do. So that's the first crossover switch. And do you think the most important, or are they all just as important?
I think they're all equally important, but they all do slightly different things. The main thing that they all do is they promote the relaxation response. So the first one, though, is because the breathing is, for most people, the easiest thing to really gain control of. It gives you sort of a platform so that now your body's already starting to relax. So then the second key, and that's taking care of your body, or what we like to say is your kinesthetics. Then what happens is the next step is really, okay, what are we going to do with our visual system? What can we do that's an automatic switch that's going to actually promote even more relaxation for you when you're doing that? And what we found is that when you go into peripheral vision is correlated again with this relaxation response. When most people are feeling fear, or they're in a really, really jacked up state, one of the things that happens is they go into tunnel vision.
Okay.
And that can often create what we call loss of perspective. So that's where a person makes a mountain out of a molehill or something like that, because they're so tunneled in on one thing that they lose perspective, and it gets them more uptight.
Okay, so peripheral vision, can you give us some ideas on where that might be naturally occurring, so people aren't thinking that this is something I've never done before, because I think we've all done it before, right?
Absolutely. It's, I mean, if you look at any kind of person who's excellent at what they do in sports, in most cases, not all cases, but particularly team sports, field sports, people, you hear all the time, people talk about in basketball, he has great court vision. Or in football, he has great field vision. And it's really the ability to expand your awareness out, as far out as you possibly can, in all directions, so that you're not focused on one specific thing. The thing that it allows you to do is you begin to detect motion better and changes in the environment. So you can see how that would really work, you know, for football or basketball or hockey or something like that. If you go to a driving school and learn how to drive a Formula One racer, what they're going to teach you the very first day is going into peripheral vision.
Really?
Yeah, because fundamentally what it does is it not only improves your vision and your orientation, but it relaxes you at the same time. So it blocks the fight and flight response as well. So it really serves two purposes there.
And you're getting more oxygen up into your brain, right?
Yep. So once again, you function better, and oxygen in your brain is a good thing.
Yes. It's so much of the information that we take in is visual, that it can be such a powerful weight on how we're feeling, that if we can begin to condition what some people I've heard said 70% of the information that's coming in is through visual. So if you learn to control that and then activate the parasympathetic nervous system.
Exactly.
So that's confused. People talk about parasympathetic, sympathetic. What is sympathetic? What is parasympathetic? Okay. And give it to the common man so they can...
Sure. So we all have our nervous system, and within our nervous system we have what some people call the voluntary nervous system, which is just what you would imagine is. It's what runs voluntary movements if I purposely move my arm or my leg or something like that. Then we have what's called the autonomic nervous system, and essentially what that is that's anything that is running where we don't really have to be paying attention to it. So that's, you know, all of our functioning, like our heart beating, our blood pressure, our respiration, our digestion, you know, all the kinds of biochemical changes that go on. Within the autonomic nervous system, we have what's called the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight and flight. And that is an adaptation that we've developed through evolution. Basically, if we're in physical danger, is to get us out of there.